Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper. I've got one more card for you using the Moonlit Flora papers. I'm not going to run through them on this video because I've already gone through them on a previous video. So if you want to have a look for yourselves, they're on page 34 and some inspiration on page 35, and it gives you the colours that are included there. So we've got two of the new colours, Golden Glow and Peaceful Pine, and then Secret Sea, Berry Burst, Mossy Meadow and Old Olive. Really nice combination of colours there. That's just some inspiration from the catalogue, and I haven't quite got my head around this new catalogue yet. And you've got the stamp set and the dies and the embossing folder. As I said in my previous video, I haven't purchased the stamp set and the dies because I have something very similar that is retired from a few years ago. So, but I have bought the embossing folder. So these are the papers. This is the embossing folder, which is a 3D embossing folder, and it's 6x6. So it gives you some really nice detail, and I just wanted to show you what I've done with it. Okay, so I'm just going to put that to one side. This is the card I made. So I've embossed the card front, but I've also embossed this banner as well. So let me show you how it goes together. Just pop that to one side. Just my little sprig. Okay. Right, so first of all, I've got a C6 card base, and this is in Old Olive. So it's half of an A4 sheet cut at 14.8 across the sheet. Okay, and then what I've done is I've run it through the embossing folder. So for those of you that are new to embossing folders, you will notice when you get them that there is a Stampin' Up logo on the front of the embossing folder at the bottom here, and that tells you that that is the front of the folder. They have a chamfered hinge. I'm not sure if I can get, there you go. So it comes to a point, and that should always go through the Stampin' cut and emboss machine, or whatever cutting machine you're using first, because it's meant to help it go through. That's why it's got that sort of pointed chamfer on it. Okay, so what I actually did was I opened up the embossing folder, I opened up my card, and I literally just folded it around the edge of the embossing folder, closed the top and ran it through my machine, and you can see it's really nicely detailed. These embossing folders, the 3D ones, make really good things for doing detail. So you can ink the embossing folder, or you can run it through, and then I could just gently go over these images with a dauber, or you can do the reverse inking technique where you use the debossed side and you literally blend ink all over, and then obviously it only picks up the background. So there's lots of different things that you can do, and I have got other videos. I think my sunflower video will show you how to do that technique. Anyway, so that's what I've done. You do end up with this slight line down here, but that's going to disappear when we start putting our layers on, hopefully. So that's our base. Then what I've got is a piece of pecan pie, and that is cut at 6.5 centimetres by 14.3, and that is going to layer up on there. So that is effectively like part of a matte layer. And then I've got a piece of this gorgeous designer series paper. So that is 6 by 13.8, I expect. Yep. So that's then going to layer up there. So we're going to do that first of all. So I'm going to bring in my trusty Tombow. The backs of these papers are really nice, as well as the fronts. They're not speciality papers, so they don't have foiling or glitter or anything else going on them. And they don't need it. Obviously, if you wanted to add a bit of glitter, you could do so with a wink of Stella, or you could use the stamp set if you wanted to heat emboss. All right, that really isn't level, so I'm sorry. I'm going to have to pick that up and lift that up. I know it takes it very slightly out of your eye line, but that is the forgiving thing about Tombow. You can reposition, and it does give you a bit of wiggle room, although in the heat we're having at the moment, not much. Right, so that's that, and then that is going to go onto the front of our card. Let me move that ruler out of the way. I'm bringing in my coated scissors. I always use my coated scissors when I'm cutting things that are sticky, so they don't end up gummed up with adhesive. I have in the past had to get my husband to heat my scissors up in order to ungum them. So don't use your normal snips, use a silicone pair of scissors. They're much easier to clean because they're not, things don't stick to them as much. Right, this paper is an all over print, so there's not really a left, an up and a down. So I'm lining that up with the crease that we were left with. Do you remember when I said we were left with that blank piece? So I'm lining that up, so that makes that not so obvious. This is a really nice, quick and simple card. Then I've cut a banner with one of the smaller banner dies. These are retired ones again, but there is currently a set of banner dies which does go very large. And I've embossed it again with that embossing folder. So then that is just going to get attached over the top. And again, I'm using dimensionals. I don't very often post a card, or if I do, it tends to be in a parcel with other things. So, but do be mindful, obviously, of how much you're layering up your cards if you are intending to post it, because you don't want the person on the other end to end up with a big bill. Now, what I should have done is not put dimensionals on this side, because this side, because that is going to be level with the card base and not the bit that we've already popped up, but it doesn't make a big deal. So let's just take the back ends off those. Come on. So you can see I'm just using the edges of the dimensionals. And if you have trouble getting the backs off, if you just sort of stick your thumbnail and press in, that lifts the edges up, which makes it easier. So we're just going to offset that. And that's going there. I know it seems like we're covering up all this lovely embossing, but right, now this is where I do need to get it right. So we are going to need dimensionals on the left-hand side, but not on the right-hand side, because we are already layered up. So obviously they flip over, so we want them on this end here, because our label is now mounted on an already raised part. We don't need it raised up anymore, but what we do need is something on this end. So I'm just going to put a little bit of tear and tape on there. So you can cut it or tear it to the right length. Okay. I find the backing comes off better if you make sure the actual tape is stuck down properly to the cardstock, or use the blade of your scissors. Right, okay, so we're all ready to go with that. So that is going to go across there like that. So we want it a little bit of a gap at each end. And I've just cut that using one of the stitched rectangle dies. And then I've just got these two little frondy pieces that I am going to stick on, and they're going to have to go on with a tiny little bit of glue. And I'm only putting glue on the lower leaves because the top is going to be hanging over a little bit. Okay, so that one is going there, and then this one is slightly smaller. So again, these are the dies that go with the retired Fern stamp set that I already had, which is why I haven't purchased the new one, because I have to be mindful of my budget, obviously. And that one's going on there like that. Okay, so, and obviously I'll put a white matte layer inside for me to write on and put a greeting in, but I tend not to do that until I know who it's going to. Oh, we need a little bit of bling. I had some gems here earlier. I absolutely do not know where they have gone. So we are going to come in with these antique pearls. which may or may not be retired. I can't think of the right word, but they're quite pretty, and I'm on a bit of a mission to use up my gems. They come in 3 different sizes, so I'm using the 2 smaller ones, and we'll just go for one of the bigger ones because we like to do odd numbers over there. Okay, I'd actually use some green glittery ones that I had left over from something else there, but they were on my desk. I have no idea where they've gone. So they'll appear again at some point, I'm sure. Okay, so there's our 2 cards. All cards need a little bit of bling. Quick and easy card to do if you've got the banner dies and some stitch dies and an embossing folder. Good way of using an embossing folder, just to give you something a little bit more in the background than just a plain background. Hope you like it. Hope you'll give it a go, and I will see you all again soon. So happy stamping, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.